que cómo se conocieron abuelita y abuelito, que tú sabes.
Oh, por lo que yo sé que es que platicaba más cuando yo, la familia de papá de México, vinieron a dar ahí a Hondo, a las pizcas de algodón. Los papás de mamá, ellos vivían en Austin. Bueno, y luego como estaba muy duro el tiempo, se vinieron para Hondo y el papá de mi mamá, el abuelo de nosotros, agarró trabajo en un rancho y tenían algodón allí. Y luego ahí fueron a dar la familia de papá. Y ahí fue donde se conocieron, mamá y papá, en Hondo.
Back in the old days, they used to have dances every Saturday. Different family had a dance at their house Saturday night, and the boy goes out there and asks this girl for a dance. And then in between, when the dance, they used to write little notes or letters in. They handed to each other while they were dancing. And that's the way my mom used to tell that she met my dad.
I think that's what the main thing that my daddy bought that big piece of land, and him and my mother, they talk about it. Give us a piece of land so we all live together.
I used to go visit him on Sundays, and one day he said, you know, when I bought this land, I paid $800 for the whole block, you know, there's 10 lots. He said, when we were back in the 40s, I'd start saving a little money, and he had $400 saved. And he came and talked to this guy that had all that land, and he said he wanted to buy some land. And he said, well, I want $800, but you give me those $400, and in 2 years you can pay me the other $400. I think that's when they started going up north, when they went to Wisconsin. He used to work at ranches, you know, and the first year he went out there, he said, I came back from Wisconsin in September, and he said, I had about $1,200 that he had saved. He said, I just came back and gave him the $400, and it got me that land.
So this was her.
This was my aunt, my aunt's lot, but of course she never could build anything on it because she married and her husband moved to Denver, Colorado. Of course, and then no one ever actually ended up building on this lot here. But as you can see, you know, that's like my grandfather. Then she was supposed to be here. Then my dad, my other uncle. They're all family here.
Yeah, she and her husband planted those pecan trees.
They planted all those pecan trees?
Yeah, they went out to the river and dig them up and planted them.
Oh, so they were going to have the
yeah,
shade,
because
huh?
they was going to build a house here.
Ah.
Then they got married, I guess, 1951. Then by 1952, they decided to move to.
Now, why Denver? Was he from Denver or?
No, he was from Mexico City.
He was from Mexico City.
Yeah. But they made up here, you know, and they went with us, you know, to work out in Denver, around Denver. And then they like it there, so they decided to move it, and then they like Denver.
Okay.
But he got killed on a wreck one. Oh, after they had about 4 daughters and 1 son. And then she died in 1976 too. So.
76. So she's been what, 20 years ago, huh?
Oh, I thought it was 76. I'm not too sure, but it's how can she?
Yeah.
But all of, I guess you knew Leslie died, innit? Leslie.
Yeah, I knew she died, and Henry.
Henry, yeah.
Yeah.
They were young, but.
But one of the things I remember my grandfather, and even my dad does it now, you have to lock that gate at nighttime. You never go to bed.
Is there a reason why? Just to have it?
I don't know. Todo el tiempo me acuerdo una cosa que me acuerdo de abuelito. Que todo el tiempo cerraba, tenía que
Yeah,
trancarla
yeah.
por la puerta.
And Lupe had the same idea.
And
She
mi,
never looked.
y mi papá my dad does the same thing. Tienen que cerrar la puerta. And I mean, lock it, not just close it. I mean, they lock it with a lock and everything. Oh, no.
This tree here was, we brought him from Wisconsin. We were working at
This tree here?
We were working on nursery home up there, not nursery home, una nursery.
Oh, yeah, nursery, yeah.
Yeah, and my mother liked that kind of tree, but it was a real pretty tree. Bushy, it got white flowers and things. But after she died, the tree died.
Oh, did they? Uh-huh. Yeah, see, right here, there's a little, there's still one in there. See all these little things here? My grandfather, when he built this thing, he inlaid some marbles right here in the corner. I don't know why, just kind of a decoration. And then when we were kids, we were always trying to break the cement, trying to get those marbles. You can see there's still a yellow marble in there right there. Yeah.
Now, whose land is which from this viewpoint here?
That's my dad. Right here, immediately, that's my Norberto's yard. And beyond that is Antonio's yard. And then if you look north of here, that's Cruz. That's the guy that's starting the fire.
We gotta go over and check that out.
Yeah, in fact, I don't know if we can walk through here. But, and then back here is, this lot used to belong to Joe, my Uncle Joe, but of course, he joined the Air Force, and I don't know who he belongs to now. I don't know.
I guess Lupe owns a lot up there.
Lupe owns this here, this land here, and a lot over here. And then over here to our left is Marcelo's land. Yeah. See, but all this used to be corrals, and they used to have cattle, pigs, chickens. God, he used to have all kind of stuff back here.
Yeah, we used to have a garden up here all the time.
Yeah, garden. Yeah.
What are you doing?
What we do when we do some barbecue on the ground, we had to wrap on a burlap sack. You had to wet them for about 2-3 hours, and then you put your hats in there, and they cook better.
And then you just peel off the burlap afterwards, or
Yeah,
or does it burn away?
No, it doesn't burn,
Oh.
but you keep it wet until you put the hats in there.
Mesquite. The people pay big time money for all this up north for mesquite wood. And here it grows everywhere.
This is the best wood to barbecue. This is what I'm gonna put the head, and this is what I'm gonna.
Oh, so you're actually making the coals first, aren't you?
Make coals, and then make coals, and then you put the heads in there, and then cover, put some dirt on top, and leave it overnight, and they just.
You have the heads here.
Yeah, I got the head. Yeah,
Wait.
here's the.
Look at that tongue.
It's covered.
Or you can buy those like at a
Yeah, you
butcher store
buy
or
them like that at the meat market.
What is it, a goat?
No, it's a cow.
No, it's a cow. That's a cow.
Look at that
Cow
tongue.
head. They don't look too good when they're not cooked.
Yeah.
But when they cook, man, when they cook, they look good. I don't know what the secret is, but you really have to wet those burlap sacks for 3-4 hours. That's what my daddy used to tell us, and he used to do a lot of it. And you have to.
Is it steaming them maybe from the wet? Do you think, or?
I don't know if it's. I don't know what really, but he said make sure that you wet those burlap sacks for at least 3 or 4 hours. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you just do what Daddy says.
Yeah, he used to make good barbecue. Yeah, he used to make it good. So anybody wants to come, we probably eat breakfast about 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow.
You
Have a little
tongue?
cow head with you. All right, that's all right. Good morning. I told you I'd be here.
How you all doing this morning?
Good.
Waiting for the
Waiting for the
big moment.
I hope it. ¿Cómo amaneciste? ¿Bien?
Bien, bien, ¿usted, tío?
Bien?
Morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Fine. Doing fine. Let's see this thing got cooked there. Check this other thing for you first. This thing is cooked.
Yeah. That thing's falling apart. Just cook.
You want to try a taquito?
Sure.
Make you see what you like, and you can put some salt on it, or
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
let's
Yeah, good.
a little bit, not too much. It's bad for you.
You're sitting here eating this kind of meat, and then we say,
Yeah, this
and that's
thing-
salt, boy. That's bad for you.
He was from Mexico, and he came here to the United States when he was 12. The whole family came. His dad worked on a farm, and his mom worked at the house, and the kids helped their dads, well, whatever he did. And like the girls, his sisters helped his mom. Oh, I don't really know why I ended up with my grandparents. I know I was a few months old when I came to live with them. I heard that I cried too much. That's why I stay here. I know it was about 6 months or less when I started living with my grandparents, and since then I stay here. My grandpa used to pray every night before he went to bed. He prayed his rosary. He prayed his rosary and every night. Well, we're accustomed Catholics, we pray the rosary for the whole family. If something goes wrong in the family, we pray a rosary for their health or whatever. And that's what my grandpa used to do every night before he went to bed. He always wore a hat. Wherever he went, he had to have a hat. Here at home, if he didn't have a hat, he had a cap on. But you never saw him, if he went outside, you never saw him without a hat or a cap. And my grandma never wore pants. You never saw my grandma in pants. You always saw her wearing dress. Oh, and the dresses were, how you call them? They had a belt. They always had a belt on to them. They didn't hang. They were always with a belt. My grandpa was getting along in his years, and he couldn't afford to pay taxes, so he asked all his kids that whoever wanted the house, he would give it to them, and they'll be paying the taxes. And I guess Joe was about the only one that could afford it at that time to pay, because everybody had their own house, their own property. They had to, and he was in the service, so they gave it to him. That was before my grandmother died. I think it was in '68, and that was that. My grandpa would stay in this house. It was going to be his house until he lived. As soon as he died, he could do whatever he wanted with the house, sell it or whatever. And he said he was going to sell it. And I always wanted it, but I wasn't working at that time. So it was just that this past March that I had worked away, I guess about 6 months, and he told me again if I wanted it, and I said yes, but I don't know if I can afford it, give the down payment and everything. And so he said, don't worry about it. I'll wait for you as long as you can. I don't spend because just like that, I save my money. So I had enough to give my down payment. And the only thing I had trouble was co-signer that the bank accepted. So then my aunt Erna, she co-signed it for me, and the loan passed. I didn't want this house to go to anybody else. Well, not that wasn't family. I wanted the family to stay with it. I don't care if they tear it down, but the poverty would stay here.
I guess mom and dad both led hard lives. I mean, I don't doubt it one bit. Dad, constantly reminding us of how hard they worked when they grew up. It wasn't, where we go in at 8 and we get out at 5 or so like that. They got up at the crack of dawn and went out to the fields until the sun went down. That was their day. Well, my name's Robert. I'm Joe's second oldest. I'm a criminal justice analyst for Tarrant County in Fort Worth. I have my 4-year degree. I'm currently pursuing a master's in criminal justice. And I'm involved with the political scene there in Tarrant County a little bit. And I think I've done pretty well, for myself considering, where we've been.
My dad always, I think every parent does this though, my dad was always talking about how hard he had it when he was younger, how he had to walk through the snow barefoot and all that. But my father always used to tell us about how he joined the service and about how hard it was for him to graduate from school. And my mother was from Mexico, so she never finished high school. And so they've been real big on pushing us to make it and to finish school and to go to college and to really be somebody.
Mom tells the story of back when me and my older brother were younger and going to school, and how Dad would get mad at Mom if she talked to us in Spanish because he didn't want us speaking Spanish.
He had a hard time when he was younger. He had to learn on his own how to speak English, and he didn't want us to have a hard time like he did. My mother didn't know English until she married my father.
And I guess that was because of what he experienced growing up in a Anglo majority community in which they were admonished or disciplined for speaking Spanish in the classroom. And I can remember Mom telling me this a long time ago. She goes, "You're an American first, you're a Mexican second," and I hold that to be true. I don't I believe in my heritage, and I'd like to stay in touch with it. My Spanish isn't that well, but I try, and I do fairly well. And
so and just until recently, in college and high school, I'm now getting into my culture more. So but I grew up with a lot of white people, and so I'm just now getting into it. But when I was younger, I used to know Spanish a lot more. I could speak it fluently because my grandma doesn't speak any English.
I've been back to visit her home in Mexico, and it's still a little rough back there, and I'm pretty thankful that I wasn't part of it and that I didn't have to experience that. So.
We really don't know much about our great-grandparents, and that's one thing I would like to encourage my kids is knowing who their grandparents were on both sides of the family, knowing the history, and just something to have to look back on.
We lived at Grandpa's house for several months when our house was getting built. We sold our house before our house was built, so we moved in. Grandma wasn't around then. It was just Grandpa and Lupe. So we lived over there for a while, and I remember we had a lot of good times over there. He had all kinds of fruit trees, fig trees. I think he even had a lemon tree, and he had tangerines and peaches and, just everything.
Chickens and hogs and
Calves.
he always, every spring he had a garden, so that was always fun, going back and working with him in the garden and stuff. I remember that. He'd have a hammock in the afternoons. He'd be lying around, fanning himself on his hammock and stuff. So that was pretty neat. That always stays in mind.
Had an outhouse in the back. That was pretty cool.
There was one incident, and I think we all remember that when we were in elementary school, I guess it was one of those summer vacation things, and we were going, "Dad, we need money for this. Dad, we need money for that." And he went on into one of his stories, and then we're sitting there going, yeah, whatever. And he hooked us up with his brother, Norberto, who was still picking onions that summer. And we went out to pick onions with him, and I think we lasted, about 3 days?
We wanted spending money because our cousins always had money in their pockets, and we got an allowance, but not as much money as they had. So he said, well, fine. He said, if y'all want money, y'all want to work for it, y'all go for it. And I think we, like he said, we did 2 or 3 days of it, and that was all we could take.
One of my favorite little stories is on Sunday after church. We would drive to the hill country. Dad would grab a couple of burlap sacks, and every time we'd be on the road and see an armadillo, we would stop the car, jump the fence, and chase the armadillo. And all of us, the 5 of us, would circle around the armadillo, and whoever was closest would grab it by the tail and throw it in the burlap, and that was dinner. Can you imagine that? To me, as far as our religion and our faith, that was a stronghold for the family. They brought us up through the Catholic school and church every Sunday. And something that always sticks to my mind is, like at home, your parents are always telling you to say your prayers before you go to bed, but like I remember seeing my dad, he would say his prayers on his knees by his bed, and you don't see that too often. I don't do it. I just say my prayers when I'm lying down in bed, but seeing my dad saying his prayers on his knees, that always sticks to my mind. And I think that's pretty special.
I remember too, even when we were in high school, as long as we were still living in the house, Dad would, at night, when all the lights were out and stuff, I could hear him going down the hall, and he'd go in the boys' room and he'd say a prayer and bless them, and then I'd hear his knee, crack or whatever, and he'd go in my room and say his little prayer and then go back to bed. But he did that, like I said, we were in high school or college, but as long as somebody was at the house, he would do that. And that was, I think, a real plus as far as us, in our lives, having that that faith, in the family. That has really, I know it's helped me a lot, and we've all made our mistakes and done. But it's like Mike said too, we learn from our experiences, and that's something that I really like about Mom and Dad. They're very open about everything. You do whatever you want to do or you think is right, and you make your decisions, and
they're always there to back us up if we fail.
Amigos, aquí celebrando con los buenos amigos, el buen amigo Cruz Hernández y toda la familia Hernández, claro que sí.
that, noodles or?
Oh no, this is cow tripe.
Is this something somewhat traditional like tamales at Christmas or something like that?
This is good after you've been drinking all night long.
That's what Velma said.
Yeah,
It's good for a hangover, she said.
So what they'll do yet later on, we're still gonna add some red chili pepper on here, and then we're gonna add some hominy. We're gonna add some hominy and some red chili pepper. Look like here, he's coming this thing up. We got the
Yeah, we got it. Okay.
chili pepper. And then we've got another thing we're gonna add is oregano.
Oh, okay.
Mexican oregano. And you kind of sprinkle that on top. You have it. A lot of people have it like anywhere, after midnight. And of course, they're gonna give it a little warning.
seguro que sí.
Well, much as I can remember my father, I think I remember from way back in the probably 1932. He was working at that time for 50 cents a day, and he worked probably 12 or 14 hours a day. We went to New Mexico probably in 1938, picking cotton. And then after that, we go into Wisconsin, Wyoming, Colorado for sugar beet and potato and all the kind of work, even picking beans.
I remember the first year we went to Wisconsin, and I don't think I did too much work. That's when my daddy was clearing the land, and we used to go up there, and I must have been, I don't know, 7 years old when we went to Wisconsin. And when we went to Colorado, a little older, and I remember working a little bit on the fields, helping.
Cuando iban para Colorado y cuando iban para Wisconsin a los trabajos, iban a la misma parte con el mismo ranchero.
No, diferentes. Acá en Colorado sí íbamos a la misma parte porque le hacíamos el trabajo allí. Y ese señor, porque éramos todos, que íbamos juntos, nos recomendaba que hacíamos buen trabajo y que éramos bastante, ¿ves? Porque tantos acres, nos tocaban 3 acres a cada uno. La compañía que nos contrataba, teníamos que hacer 3 acres de que estaba chiquito, desaijarlo 2 veces, luego 2 veces limpiarle que no tuviera hierba. Ya cuando crecía, lo sacaban con una máquina y nosotros con unos machetes grandes encina, echarle el tapo y ir haciendo una línea así por un surco. Luego venía una máquina, lo levantaba y lo llevaba a las fábricas, el tabel.
¿Y ustedes cómo se iban en sus carros, las trocas o qué?
No, pues nos llevó el contratista que nos llevó de aquí, él nos llevaba para las labores. No llevaba, nadie nos llevaba el carro.
Used to go every year. You pack your bags in April, go up north, work a little bit at this place, then you move to another place, pick something else there. And there was a continuous, you come over here with a little bit of money, let's say around December, you get back to Uvalde, to your hometown, and you have a little bit of money. In a month, you broke again. You don't have nothing, see. So in April, here we go again, see, up north. And I knew very well it was not a life for me. It's got to be something better than going up north. So as soon as I turned 18, I told my dad, I'll see you later, but I'm leaving.
I guess was 52 when my daddy, my mother, and myself, we stayed home, and just the rest of the kids went back to north. Because my younger brother, he joined the army. They called him from the army in 1952, late, probably in October or November. It wasn't very long after that, I guess, and on June in 1953, he got killed in Korea. And that's when we started having hard time because my mother started getting sick, you know, she started getting diabetes and all kind of problems.
Because that's when my brother that got killed in Korea and got called into the service, and that Joe, right after Joe went into the Air Force, and my other 2 older brothers got married, so that broke out the family pretty much. So they decided not to go anymore. And actually, I had it fairly good, you know, when I was in high school. I think I was the only one that graduated regular high school, you know. And Joe was in the Air Force, and he was going to he went to England for 3 years, and he had bought a car, about 2-year-old car, and he told me, that's when I was in high school, he said, I'm going to bring the car over here, you can use it if you want to. And my mom will always give me lunch money plus money to spend, so I got to take a car to school, pretty nice car, a Mercury. I remember everybody thought I was a hotshot because I was riding a 2-year-old Mercury, black with hard top with leather interior, and it wasn't mine, you know. I think there was me and another guy, a Mexican guy, that were the only ones that took cars to school, to high school, you know. And actually, and since I was the youngest one, my mom, you know, I would ask her for money, and she gave me money, you know. And she liked to sew, and I would see something in a catalog, a shirt, and I asked her if she could make it, and she said, yeah, buy me the material, you know. And she couldn't walk too much, but she'd sit down and sew, and she make me a lot of shirts, you know. I'd see the colors I wanted, you know, so I didn't have too much money to buy the actual thing, but she could do what I saw, you know, and she would do it.
My father and my mother were different. My father, I don't remember my father spanking me one time. He talked to you, but my mother used to get mad and get the broom and hit you or get a bell, you know, and I do remember all that. But I never remember my father spanking me one time.
He was a loner, and I remember him coming from the fields, working, and he would sit outside the houses were not air conditioned, you know, or they have television, and he would go outside like the shade of the tree or the shade of the house with his guitar or harmonica and start playing and singing real low, you know, like, I don't know, like a person that is lonely. And I never associate that with anything, you know. I just thought he liked to sing. But now, you know, I think back and the things that he used to do, and I think he was a lonely man. I don't know why, you know.
we appreciate everything we've had, you know, because it wasn't given. Everything was, you know, sweat off my parents' back, you know, just to
Dad, remember he used to take the couple of pigs every time school started down to Pearsall, the auction, to sell a couple of hogs. Sounds like a coal miner's daughter, but you know, it's reality.
Yeah.
He had to sell a couple of pigs every time school started so he can buy some shoes or
clothes for us.
and stuff, you know.
Our Christmas presents was a Sears catalog,
Yeah.
and it was all underwear and T-shirts.
There was never no toys. You know?
Yeah, nobody knew what toys were. They're all homemade toys. You know. But it was just something that we grew up, and everything we did have, it was really highly appreciated.
Living in a small home like we did, we have four-room house, let me put it that way. It's a 4-room house, and you imagine there's 10 kids and 2 parents in there. Actually 9 kids, because Lupe was over at my grandma's house. And 2 adults, my parents. There was 11 people in that house. But we had a routine though every night. I remember this. The routine was my mom and dad always had their own bedroom. And then that was their bedroom, and the other one was the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And the living room, kind of played a dual role in that house, because during the day it was like the living room, but then at nighttime it became the bedroom. And I know I used to sleep in a full-size bed. It was Oscar and I, and somebody else. I can't remember who the third guy was, but 2 of us this way, and the one that went away. And then of course they had another full-size bed in the other room. That was for the girls. That was the girls' room. So all the girls slept in one bed. And then Junior and the younger ones always got dogged out, because they got to sleep on the floor every night. Mm-hmm. And that was their, but we had all our routine. The Junior had to make his bed on the floor every night. But that's, you know, and in the morning we would all get up and put everything away and
make back
into a living room.
In wintertime, you know, everybody had heat up his own hot water to get, you know, warm showers or bath, you know. So we had this bathtub and use it, you know, to take our showers.
This galvanized tub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take our shower, just heat, and while he was taking the shower, the other guy was heating up his water.
Pot of water,
and you only had so much water to take a bath and get out next one, you know. So we had about 6 people, 10 people to go in one night, you know, get ready for school or something like that. And or if you wanted, go outside with a water hose and.
That was summertime. Summertime it was always faster, because you just get the hose and you take a shower outside.
We didn't get to see our grandmother that much. She passed away at a real early age. But one thing I do remember is that all the kids would form a circle around here, especially when she was getting ready to kill chickens. She would kill chickens. We would all form a circle around her, and she would grab a chicken by the head, and she would start twisting it. And she would twist it until the head would twist off, and the chicken's body would start flapping around, and we were all,
running around
the
trying to catch
circle,
it.
trying to catch this chicken. So that's one memory I do have of my grandmother, and actually that's probably about the only memory I have of her. About that.
And I bet we scared our mom a couple of times, because we come home and we were all full of blood. But she said, whatever, it wasn't our blood.
Trying to catch a chicken.
But
There, her tortilla and frijoles tacos. Anytime you went over there, Abuelita had tortilla and frijoles tacos. So you can always count on that.
So. And when we used to go to get the eggs, we all jump in Grandpa's truck.
The chicken.
That Grandpa's truck, I think everybody has memories of that truck.
My grandfather used to take us to school in the morning and go pick us up in the afternoon. He'll pick up all our neighbors, all my cousins, picks them all up like a train. He'll go one house to another and pick them all up and take them to school. And then in the afternoon, he'll bring us all back home, leave us all, in the house.
He had it fixed up like a bus, because that pickup that Tony has now, they're scooped up now. He had, in the summertime, had the rails and there's benches, so he'd go around the neighborhood, around the block, we call it the block, and pick up all the kids that went to Catholic school. In the summertime, he had the rails.
Right.
And in the wintertime, then he had the rail, but then he would put a tarp, protect us.
He used to call us the hillbillies,
Yeah.
you know.
Here come the hillbillies. When Grandpa pulled up the truck in front of the school, it'd be like 20 kids get out of the back of the truck.
But we were pretty well known in school that
Yeah.
day that Oscar hit the Mother Superior in the forehead with a top, knocked her cold. You know.
With a spin top, knocked her right in the forehead.
So that was the end of the tops at school.
A lot of stunts that were pulled in Catholic schools. Yeah. None that we can't talk about. On video.
Oh, I remember getting our mouth washed out with soap plenty.
About every other day for me.
Or we get punished.
We'd
we
be
had
walking
to
to school with our own bar of soap in the back pocket.
We had to go in back of the nun's house and clean their yard. Punishment for doing something.
Oh,
you know,
Joey here, man, he gets so bad. They used to call him Moras. There was a mulberry tree behind the school building, and they sit him every day. They sit under that tree. They call him Moras.
I got nicknamed after the mulberry tree. You know, spend most of my time there.
You know, everybody had their own little group, you know, that all their cousins were right around the same age and everything. And that made it kind of fun because we always had, there was nobody like older or you weren't left out because, you know, there was you were too young or anything. You had your little group.
When I was one of my Tio Beto's cousins, we'd always be a group, and my Uncle Tony and Marcelo, they would be another group, and during holidays or something, we'd get together and compete, always try to do things different, you know, as far as like 4th of July, you know, we would play war against each other.
We all played baseball, football against each other, and bottle rocket fights. We would have bottle rocket fights and 4th of July.
I think I got the worst end of it a lot of times. You know, I got burn marks on my arm and on my back.
We used to play Cowboys and Indians,
and they
and
tied
he was
me
a
down.
cowboy.
They tied me down and started a fire and branded me with a hot wire. I got burn marks here and on my back. You know, so.
Oh, you almost got it. Yeah.
I'm an American, yeah, because I was born in Texas, and I guess what you call the proper tone is a Tejana or Tejano or Chicano. That's what we've always called, but we've always acknowledged that Mexican part of us. I mean, it's always, and that comes from Grandpa, because we go over there and Grandpa wouldn't talk to you in English. He had to be all Spanish, so you had to learn Spanish for Grandpa. And then the music he would play, I remember he played the harmonica for us, or the guitar, he'd be all Mexican. And I mean, so you get kind of proud of that, because I mean, he was the one that was real proud to be a Mexican. Kind of passes on, I think.
We grew up speaking English all the time.
English.
His mom spoke Spanish all the time, but we spoke English. You know, so we grew up and everything.
Like our kids.
I went to the army in 1972.
72.
And it's just I didn't even know a word of Spanish.
We were brought up, you know, as far as mainly not Mexicans, but they were called us Hispanics. You know, because when you consider a lot of people Mexicans, you know, you're across the border or something, you know. But you know, we were brought up as far as mainly trying to be Hispanic first and then Americans. But I mean, now, I mean, it seems like we're the same. I mean, we're the same people. I mean.
Well, on my mom's side, well, actually also on Lorenza, you know, I did some history search, and I found that we're part Comanche and Chiricahua. And when I went and looking for the roots, I found out that you know, we pertain more to the Chiricahua Apache. And like I said, and I went ahead and followed, and I had my family registered to the Chiricahua Apache tribe.
My grandma Lorenza didn't like my mom at all. You know, there was a lot of conflict.
There's a lot of conflict.
Okay, that brings a point out to where one of the reasons my dad Marcelo doesn't really want to come to the reunion.
He has a lot of.
He has a lot of regrets and anger that wasn't taken care of while my grandparents were still alive. And this is why he does what he does, because I mean, a lot of things were said and done, and they should have been taken care of.
He still holds
a grudge.
He holds his grudge, but this is one of the reasons our dad won't come to the reunions.
But Dad is very stubborn too, in a lot of ways.
But
you can't tell him any different because we were raised in that fact. We got to respect what your father says or whatever, But when my brother came over last night, and invited me to the dance, I wasn't gonna come, but I got to thinking, I don't want to grow up like Dad and stuff. We were raised never to say, our dad never told us he loved us. Till this day, he has never said he loved us because we weren't raised that way. We were just raised to be respectful to other people, but we grow up our kids every day without saying we love them or something. It's gonna be a little different when they grow up.
I'll try to be like my daddy. I like my kids, to remember me like I remember my daddy. They be nice to see each other, don't be fighting each other again for anything, just to see each other. That's what they really are like, for them to be, stay all together, be united all together, So.
I like to set an example for my kids. Like I used to tell them right now, see, what I did, what I accomplished in life. I thought I was a cotton picker, and I got a nice home here, got a good job, I got 3 years of college, and I did that all on my own.
Si tuvieras una historia que querías que todos los hijos y las hijas se acuerden de ti cuando ya te vayas, que es una historia, ¿cómo quieres que te acuerden, que te acuerdemos de ustedes?
Nunca dejé de trabajar. Estuve trabajando. Nunca dejé yo el trabajo como muchos que no quieren mantener la familia, ¿ves? Todos los que me conocen saben bien que yo los mantuve a todos.
Soñé que un ángel su amor me daba, pero yo en cambio mi amor le di. Él me juraba que me adoraba, yo con el alma se lo creí. Porque te ocultas cuando te miro, porque te ocultas ni bien así. ¿Cuál es el crimen?